Okay, hello everyone, I'm Debbie David, and I worked in Hollywood for 30 years, loved every minute of it, and last night at my show, I was concentrating on my years at Paramount, so I talked about Wings and Cheers. The main show I was on was Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I played the role of Ensign Russell, and it's a small, background part, but they actually gave me a name in one of the episodes, and so that put me in the canon of Star Trek and the Bible of Star Trek, and so, I'm the actor who played Ensign Russell. And if you go on the internet and you Google Ensign Russell, you'll see all kinds of fan stuff, and there's one Alpha Wiki site that has every episode I'm in and where I was and everything. It's very detailed. When I first saw that, I was floored by it. Very honored. But today I'd like to talk about some of the other movies I was on and some of the other things. Now, many of those were fantasy and science fiction movies too, so they fit in with the theme of today. But some of my stories will be from movies that are, that many of you have seen. So let me think about which one I should tell first. Okay, I'll tell you about my experiences on Roadhouse. Now, you've probably all seen Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. Well, I got on that movie, and I was just a background at first, and then the director picked me to do a little scene with the actors. Well, we were working on that movie. This is in the picture. It's at the beginning, where he's coming to this Kevin Tighe's club that he wants redone. And he wants him to be the bouncer because he's a famous bouncer, Patrick Swayze. And so at the beginning of the movie, they're in this bar, and this guy's we're sitting at a table, and we're smoking cigarettes and everything. And this guy comes over and says, "Would you like to pay 20 bucks in the movie? Would you like to pay 20 bucks to?" I think touch her breast or something like that. I don't remember. And the guy says yes, and he does it. And then he goes, "Where's my 20 bucks?" He goes, "I don't have any money." And it starts a fight, right? Punching out. And I have one line in this scene. Well, and we're filming a scene, and it ends in a fight, right? So they come up to me after we film like half of the scene and say, "We need you to change your wardrobe with this guy here. He's your stuntman." I said, "Stuntman? I don't get hit or anything. I back up like that." "Well, it's got to be a stuntman. I'm sorry, because it's all choreographed." Well, I didn't like that. I said, "Well, that's my line is right there." Then the director comes over. "Listen, we need you to not do that line, but I'll make it up to you." So I said, "Well, okay." So it turns out they were trying to give this stuntman his Screen Actors Guild card. You have to have a line in a movie. That's the catch-22 in Hollywood. You have to have a line in the movie to be able to join the Screen Actors Guild, and you can't get a line in a movie unless you're a member of the Screen Actors Guild. That's the Screen Actors Guild is a union, like the Teamsters. We're part of the AFL-CIO of unions, but it's also one of the last real guilds in the world, where a member has to invite you to join. So I got my first line in a movie in a film called Slumber Party Massacre. And it's a real slasher, but kind of comic movie. I have one line in it. I say, "That new girl's really good looking." And that was my line in the movie. When I got cast in Colors with Dennis Hopper, I went to the Screen Actors Guild and asked them to Taft-Hartley me on that movie. They said, no, you already spoke in Slumber Party Massacre. You have to join the guild or not. So I called up my dad. I said, Dad, I need $900 to join the guild. He didn't. So, okay. I got to join the guild. And then I got to do colors. I had a scene with Sean Penn in colors where we get into a fight. I had like 5 lines, but the first one I said was a whole string of cuss words at Sean Penn that leads up to the fight. And I just, you know, my mother would come see me in plays in high school and college and stuff, and, you know, I'd say like one bad word in a play, and she would say, well, I liked it, but did you have to say bad words? Mom, we have to do what's written, you know? So I was so scared that, you know, my mom was going to come see this movie, and the first thing I'm going to say is this whole string of really bad cuss words. And, well, anyway, they were filming my scene at the bar in Los Angeles that is really the bar of the policemen there in LA. They have a bar that overlooks where the helicopters take off. And the cops in LA, they can go in and have 2 drinks after their shift at this bar, and then they have to wait a certain amount of time, and then they can go home. So that's where our scene was filmed, and, you know, it's a whole thing with permits and everything like that. Well, the production company was supposed to film a scene on the beach that morning. Then the crew was going to move, and then in the afternoon we were going to film in the bar. That morning, Sean Penn, an extra, pulled out a camera and took his picture, and Sean Penn slugged him. So Sean Penn was arrested for assault that day, and we couldn't film my scene. My scene was, you know, a subplot in the movie, and it would cost so much to go back and try to reset it. They just cut my scene. So you don't see me in that movie. And but it got me into the guild, and it got me friends with Dennis Hopper, who later put me in a movie called Backtrack. And I did get to speak in that, and I got to work with Jodie Foster, which was really fantastic. She was a very nice lady, and my brother came out to visit me in LA, and he said, I want to see some celebrities, you know. So I went to, we went to this Indian restaurant where I know a lot of celebrities show up there sometimes, and there wasn't anybody there that night. So we sat down at the table, and here comes Jodie Foster with her wife, I guess, and she sits down at the table. Well, I got so nervous, thinking, oh, should I approach her? Should I? You know, and I didn't want to be embarrassed in front of my brother or anything, so I didn't say anything. We're getting up to walk out, and I'm walking past her table, and she reaches out and grabs my arm and goes, don't you remember me? We did a movie together. I was so happy and so proud. We talked for a little bit. I introduced my brother and everything. It was very impressive for him, and I really loved that movie. And if you see this movie, Backtrack, it's kind of hard to find. It didn't do too well in the theaters. I told all my friends, oh, you got to come see me in Backtrack. Backtrack, you know, make sure. I don't think it's going to stay in the theaters long, so when it comes out, go see it. Well, it came out the same weekend as Backdraft, the firefighter movie, you know, with who's in that movie? Kurt Russell. And so now I'm thinking about Kurt Russell. I did a movie with Kurt Russell too called Tequila Sunrise, and I play a cop in that. And it's just a little bit where I turn on my flashlight and shine it on this dock to a pile of white powder on the dock. It's supposed to be cocaine. And when Kurt Russell came up to me and introduced, and you know, you're going to be working together, I told him what I was going to do, and he said, hey, let's make a bit out of it. You stand over here, I'll motion you over and point at that, and then you turn on the flashlight like that. So I got a good shot from that too, just because Kurt Russell was so nice. Mel Gibson, not so much, but Kurt, yeah, he was nice. I'll go off on tangents like this because everything, you know, kind of interconnects. Did I finish the story about? Oh, well, Backdraft. I told you about that. Let's talk about Rising Sun. That's another great movie that I was so fortunate to get in, and I'll tell you about how that came about. I was just cast as an extra in a, to just be background in a city scene, and I was there, and I was wearing my own wardrobe, and they always pay you a little bit extra if you have your own wardrobe. So I made a lot of extra money in Hollywood, but I had 2 tuxes. I had a white tux and a black tux. And you know, they give you an extra like $30 on your voucher every day. So I would always get cast in tuxes. I had a security man's outfit, so I get cast in that a lot. And I had a doctor's smock and scrubs. I got cast in those, you know, to make a little extra money. But anyway, I'm on Rising Sun, and the director of Rising Sun is Philip Kaufman. Philip Kaufman directed The Right Stuff. One of his first big movies was The Incredible Lightness of Being. And I had spent a year in Italy. I lived in Rome for a year working on Italian films and TV shows and commercials in Italy. In fact, at one point I was more famous in Italy than I was in the United States. I actually got stopped on the street after I did this Danone yogurt commercial in Italy. And so anyway, when I was in Italy, nobody spoke English. I didn't speak Italian that well. And so I got up and I had this movie theater that showed where they would send movies over from Hollywood to be dubbed into Italian. They would have these reels of the movie in English, and they showed them at one theater in Rome in their English form. So I would go there to this theater to see the movies all the time, just to hear some English and to feel like not an alien. And but they only changed the movie like every 2 weeks. You know, it was the same movie for 2 weeks. So I would go see the same movie several times. And one of those was The Incredible Lightness of Being by Philip Kaufman. So I saw it like 8 times in Italy. Anyway, so now we're back on the set at 20th Century Fox for Rising Sun. Now, a lot of the stars, if they're a big star, will have their trailer right next to the soundstage. And Sean Connery, though, his trailer was inside the soundstage with a white picket fence around it and an AstroTurf green lawn leading up to the trailer. And but they put the craft service for the union actors, and that's another thing about being an extra. If you could be a union extra, your life will be much better. But you got to get into the Screen Actors Guild first. And so they put the craft service for the union actors inside that little fenced-in area where Sean Connery's trailer was. So I go in there one morning, and I'm going to get, of course my name in those days was Carl David. That was I'm Debbie David now, but I was Carl David back then. And Sean Connery comes out of his trailer, and he's wearing this terry cloth robe that is cut so short, I mean and here he's got these big whiskey barrel legs that are real hairy and everything. And I was like, oh, I was shocked, you know, there's Sean Connery. He's so big and he's so, you know, nice. So Sean Connery comes out of the trailer, he walks over to the craft service table, he picks up a bagel, he slices it, he puts it in a toaster, he lets it toast, he pulls it out, puts it on 2 different plates. He takes some cream cheese, he dollops it around like a baker would do a cake. And, you know, really nice little, all the way around. Then he took some raspberry jelly and he drizzled it over like that. He turns and he says, "Carl, would you like to share this bagel with me?" And I'm thinking, James Bond just said my name. And it was like, you know, I ate that so slowly. I took every bite. I was like, Sean Connery made this for me. One night we were filming a scene. You know, they film movies out of order. You don't film them in the order that you see them in the movie all the time. And so they were doing this scene. In that movie, I play Senator Morton's aide. And Senator Morton's played by Ray Wise, who I also worked again on Star Trek. You see me on the Enterprise C with him and Tasha Yar. But anyway, I'm one of the only actors who's been on Enterprise B, C, D, and now E. Plus, I was on Voyager and DS9. So I don't know. I mean, Bill Blair, who's here with us, and a friend of mine too. He's got the world record for a number of aliens that he's played, but I don't think there's any other Star Trek character that's been on all those ships, you know? I think I was playing my own grandfather when I was on Enterprise B, because it's the one that gets caught in the Nexus, and that's where I got to meet William Shatner for the first time. And William Shatner owns a farm in Kentucky. And my father was a John Deere dealer in Shelbyville, Kentucky for 50 years. And he opened his store on the day I was born, which is March the 3rd. Tomorrow will be my birthday, and my show tomorrow is going to be a birthday party. And I'm going to talk about where I am now and what I'm doing now, which is really exciting too, to me. And so if you come to my party tomorrow, I'd appreciate it too. Anyway, so one night we're filming this scene with a skyscraper downtown LA, and they have this company logo of the Japanese company that's supposed to be in the movie actually attached to the skyscraper down. I mean, it's incredible what they did. And then they had above that, they had all this rigging to make it rain on this whole skyscraper. It's not raining in LA that night, but it rained for that set, you know. So I was there, and I was in a suit that wardrobe had given me to put on for this scene. And the director, Philip Kaufman, he comes over and says, "You're supposed to be in a tux because we see you at the party that comes right after this in the movie. You have to be in a tuxedo. Go tell wardrobe that you want to be in your tuxedo." So, okay. Well, they didn't have it there. It was on the other set where that scene was going to be filmed. It took like 20 minutes for them to go to the other set, get my tux, bring it in there. So they finally get my tux. They're holding up production on this night where they're set up for rain and everything. You know, they get it all filmed in that one night before the light. You know, I've been on movies a lot of times, like Tequila Sunrise too, where the director's going, "We're getting light, we must film now," and then conversely, we're losing the light when it's getting sunset, and. Those lighting guys are amazing, though. They can light day for night and night for day, you know. So anyway, we're getting ready to film the scene, and the tux thing happens, and so here comes Philip Kaufman with his tux laying across his arm, and he walks up to me and he goes, "We don't have any more time. Would you mind just going behind that statue right there and changing your clothes?" I said, no problem. Mr. Kaufman, I'm fine. So I'm over there, and who's over there standing in the shadows waiting for us to film? But Sean Connery. And I kind of see him out of the corner of my eye, but I don't say anything. And then take off my clothes, and a couple of the girls that were in the crowd seemed to go woo, woo, you know, whistling at me and stuff. I turn around and Sean Connery's right there, and he goes, "You're gonna remember this night for the rest of your life." And I sure did when he said that. Sean was so nice, and Wesley Snipes too, who had finished New Jack City just before that. That was the only character I had ever seen him in, and so at first I was scared of him, but he turned out, you know, a lot of the stars. When I used to hang out with Dennis Hopper all the time, I was like in his entourage for years, and people would think that he was really like Frank Booth or these horrible characters he played, and he's not like that at all. He's just a genius. I'm so sad that Dennis had left us. You know, he was my acting teacher, my mentor, and a distant cousin of mine, actually. But he only liked me because I was there in Hollywood. I got my Screen Actors card on my own. I never contacted him. I had met him once when I was a little kid after Easy Rider, but I didn't know him at all, and I didn't bother him. My aunt came out to visit him, and she wanted to stay at my house. So we did. So I drove her around Hollywood, and we're going to meet Dennis Hopper one day. And we meet Dennis, and he said, "Oh, you're my cousin and everything." And he took a liking to me right off the bat. He said, "Yo, you're handsome, and you know, have you ever done any acting before?" I told him, you know, yeah. And he said, and I said, "In fact, I already got my Screen Actors Guild card." And when I said that, he was like, "You don't know how many people have come from my past and asked me to put it in my Hollywood. And here you are, you've been out here and you did it on your own." He really respected that, you know. And that's why we became such close friends. And I've got a lot of Dennis Hopper stories. Well, the Roadhouse story that I didn't finish, I just remembered. On that movie, when they took my part away from me, I went up to the stunt coordinator and said, "I know what you're doing. You're trying to give your guy a SAG card with my line." And he got immediately mad and wanted to fight right there. And we actually tussled a little bit, you know. This is a stunt coordinator. He was a short guy, but he was wiry. And Patrick Swayze saw what was happening. He comes out and makes a like, and he said to me, and he goes, "You in my trailer right now." And then he turned to the stunt coordinator and said, "You know, you don't bother the actors like that." So I went into Patrick Swayze's trailer, and this was the start of me spending the whole week with Patrick in his trailer. So I had, you know, carte blanche in Patrick's trailer. I just go in and sit there and wait for him to get done, and we talk. I remember the